Hey guys, I'm switching up this week's video a little bit because I actually put a message at the end and I want that to be the last thing people hear. So I'm gonna put my question of the week first. My favorite holiday is midsummer. It's also the summer solstice, which is a very beautiful, strong emphasis on lifetime. It's the longest day of the year. And I'm such a warm weather spirit that it's really, really special to me. And also because it's me and hubby's anniversary. We married on the solstice. So, yep, that's my favorite holiday and why. Hey everyone, welcome to togetherweR Thursdays. This week's topic is a really good one, and a really controversial one too, I guess. And it's about the fact that recovery doesn't stop or end. The other girls have mentioned that it's a journey, not a destination, and that's definitely true. This is not something that you achieve, done, and walk away cured. And again, there's some debate about that going on right now in the clinical community regarding whether there is a such thing as recovered, or if one is either in or out of recovery. And I'm in the camp that says I'm not going to say that fully recovered isn't possible, but I will say that in my personal and research experience, I've yet to meet anyone who is 100% recovered. In all of the eating disorder memoirs that one reads, even the ones with positive endings or healing endings, one finds a caveat that the ED voice never goes away. It's always there. That the presence, the thoughts are always in the back of your mind. You are never cured in the sense that every thought, every behavior, every pathos that came with the experience of an eating disorder does not vanish. Some people liken eating disorders to an addiction, living with an addiction. I think it's an incomplete model, but in the context of comparing abstinence from triggering substance, it's a poignant talking point. Drug addicts and alcoholics are said to be recovering, never recovered. And I think in that sense, there is a parallel with eating disorders, that you cannot be cured. For alcoholics, drug addicts who are in recovery, the urges will still come to abuse that substance, the triggers will still come, but they have learned new empowerment skills and not to give in to those impulses, compulsions, thoughts, dreams. It invades your dreams. I've talked to individuals who've been addicted to drugs who say, yeah, you'll have dreams using, dreams acquiring, years after the fact. It stays with you. It alters something in your mind that doesn't go away. And I do think in that sense there is a parallel with the experience of eating disorders. The problem with eating disorders is that while one can abstain with alcohol and survive, and one can abstain from drugs and survive, one cannot abstain from food. So for us, it's a little more complicated. And also that obviously the definition and component triad of addiction is an incomplete model for eating disorders. Eating disorders are far more complicated than that, and so it is a bit of a trivialization, but there are parallels that can be made, as I've just mentioned. So I do think it's a journey, and I think it's very important that those seeking healing do so in the context of realizing that no protocol, no approach, no set of definitions, nobody else's paradigm is necessarily going to resonate with your spirit and help you. That's very important to remember. And also, we hear it a million times that you can't fail the journey. So, and I'll say again, and I've said it before, it's not linear either. There are definitely forward steps and backward ones. I have this saying about, walking with Anna is like a dance. There's forward steps and backwards ones, and each is essential to the choreography. And it's true wherever you are in the journey. Nothing about life is linear ever. And that's important to remember too. Setbacks, relapses, less motivated times happen. It's par for the course. This is not an exact science. This is not something that you take a pill or magically go inpatient and come out all better. I know. Something else I want to bring up, and this is really interesting because it was discussed on my website recently, and it really got me thinking, so I'm going to ask you guys what you think about this. One of our members was talking about the fact that for as far back as she can remember, she's had eating disordered thoughts and issues, since she was a toddler. And the question she poses is, recover from what? There was never a normal. So rather than recovery being getting back to baseline, if there was no baseline, then one has to redefine the journey in terms of what is optimal wellness for me? What is my definition of being as well as possible given the circumstances? And that's why I tend to use the term optimal wellness rather than recovery. Because recovery has too many constraints, and it's too narrow really to grasp something as pervasive, all-inclusive, insidious, complex, multifaceted, varying, person to person as eating disorders. It's too complex an issue to be confined so narrowly, in my opinion. So, yes, I think optimal wellness is the best approach. It's my approach. It's the approach that we advocate on my site, which is making the best of the circumstances and finding a workable balance between wellness and pathology. Basically, maximizing health, minimizing negative sequelae. And that, to me, is what recovery is. It is striving for being maximally positive and maximally well. Not aspiring to achieve little check-off boxes on somebody else's paradigm. That doesn't apply to me in my life and my journey. That didn't work, and all that did was make me feel like a failure. And while we are told that we cannot fail in recovery, that isn't necessarily the message that is conveyed underneath the words and rhetoric. It's a difficult issue. One of the members on my website introduced us to the concept of radical mental health. I'm going to share what that is. This is a page from the Mindful Liberation Project. It is at radicalmentalhealth.org. Okay, what is radical mental health? Taking care of each other is a radical act. In the mental health profession, the help is one-sided and the main reward for the helper is monetary. For us to help one another is so completely devoid of monetary value, but so very full of personal and spiritual growth and worth. Nothing can take away our ability for community support, but one pay cut could take us away from our therapists. So, what is radical mental health? It is a number of things. Radical mental health means conceiving of and engaging with mental health and mental illness from a new perspective. Radical mental health is about grassroots and diversity. Radical mental health is about interconnectedness. well, I'm going to share, let's see what else, there's some more definitions here, but the growth and strength of individuals and communities comes from our interconnectedness. We struggle and celebrate together, always. While mainstream connections of mental health and illness, by and large, reduce people's experience into brain chemicals and personal histories, radical mental health sees human experience as a holistic convergence of social, emotional, cultural, physical, spiritual, historical, and environmental elements. No matter how alienated we are by the world around us, no matter how out of step, depressed, and disconnected we might feel, we are not alone. Our lives are supported by the lives of countless other beings, from the microbes in our eyelashes to the people who plant our strawberries. The world is so much more complicated and beautiful than it appears on the surface. A premise of radical mental health, then, is not only that we are not left to deal with everything on our own, but that things that support our well-being can come in many different forms. They do not just have to be psychological or pharmaceutical. So recovery is not a neat little box, and it is not a journey that ends. We each need to venture into the realm of uncertainty a little bit, and that's scary for us. But the fact is, too many of us have been looking to somebody else to tell us what is right, what is wrong, what the best answer is, what the right action is, what the right thoughts are, what the right choices are. I think when one can find within oneself what it means personally to be optimally well, that is recovery. There are things we can each do to empower ourselves together in solidarity, which is why we have channels like togetherweR, and communities like my site, where people come together and support one another in a positive and life-affirming way. So radical mental health is an awesome approach also, especially if you have been previously traumatized by, alienated by, or otherwise unable either to access or benefit from current treatment modalities. All is not a failure. This is not a binary journey in any way. We are far more complex. So are our pathologies, and so are our healing solutions. Remember that. You be the definition of what your health is. If I can offer you one final thought, if you take anything away from this video, I hope it be this: never, ever give up. Utilize any resource that resonates with your spirit, pursue it to its full extent, and you will achieve optimal wellness, at least, and maybe full recovery. Healing is possible, precious ones, no matter who you are, no matter how sick you are, no matter how long you've been ill. There is hope for us all. Peace within. I think that would be my definition of having achieved optimal wellness or being fully recovered, would be that you have peace within, that you have, to the best of your ability, addressed the detrimental sequelae of your pathology, maximized your health, embraced, acknowledged, and put forefront in your mind positivity and healing. We are never alone. And that is why we're here on this channel. That is why we come here, joining on common ground and a common platform with a common hope, supporting one another, encouraging one another, and healing together. Because together we are stronger. Be well, precious ones. Much love. See you next week. Bye, guys.